Hey Hamza,
Hi, hi, who's this?
you remember me? We had a conversation about an hour.
About an hour. I don't remember, but what's your name?
Sahar.
Sahar. Okay, where are you from?
I'm from Israel.
Cool.
Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine.
Where in Palestine, if I can ask?
Well, I'd rather not say.
You
I
don't
mean,
have
if
to
we
say
talked before, I probably said the same thing.
you don't have to say a specific area. You can say West Bank, Gaza.
Well, I'd just rather not say.
Sure thing. You have no reason to be scared. We don't just go after random families and do things to them like you try to tell your audience.
Like me or like how I tell my audience? What do you mean?
I don't know. For some reason, like
Because you
there's.
had a weird pause there. Is it like me, you mean?
I mean,
Like do I do that? I
yeah,
think you slipped a little bit.
of course you do that. Dalton does
Yeah.
that. A lot of pro-Palestinians do that,
What do you mean?
as if we would go into your village and harm you because you did anything, because you're just living there. We don't do stuff like that, and you know that. No, apparently you don't know that because you've never been here. Have you ever been to Palestine? Have you ever been to Israel?
Well, I have. Yeah, of
When?
course. It's my home.
When have you been here? During what? During an intifada? During what time?
Well. First of all, why are you assuming not?
I don't know, because from the last time I talked to you, that's what pretty much that was the overall conclusion of the conversation.
From you? That was that your conclusion?
I mean, it was my conclusion, was the viewers' conclusion. I've received a lot of
Well,
messages
well,
after,
I've been to Palestine. Of course, I have. I'm lucky to have.
and you were
You know,
mistreated in any way.
many Palestinians haven't.
Were you mistreated in any way?
Well, I'm U.S. Citizen to them. I'm American, but many Palestinians haven't been there. They don't have the opportunity.
Yeah, but when you go to the West Bank or Gaza, were you
Yes, I
mistreated by,
am.
by
I,
IDF soldiers in any way? And if you were,
there,
please
there is
specify how.
discrimination. Yes, I was mistreated in the airport in Israel. We had to wait hours detained.
And why is that?
Well,
Because
because
I,
we're
I am I am
Palestinian.
familiar I am familiar with
While
that.
others just went through, we had to wait hours. They look at my passport, they see Hamza, Arabic name, and they wait. They make me wait. They ask if I'm Muslim, and if I am, well, they make me wait even longer. They sit me down for hours. They question. They look through your phone, they look through your devices as if I'm a terrorist just because I'm Palestinian and Muslim.
Do you know that the same thing happens to me when I go to the United States just because of the way I look? Just because of the way my beard is shaped? It's the same for me. After 9/11, airport security grew tremendously, and you know that. So every person
Okay,
that looks even
uh,
remotely suspicious has to get
and
interrogated.
and that's and that's I mean that's still bad. Like, what's your point?
I mean, it's bad, but it's needed. You have to understand where they're coming from. If your last name is Hussein Yassin and whatever,
It's needed.
of course it's needed for the safety of the country and also for the safety of Palestine as well, of the West Bank and Gaza. Of course it's needed. And you don't agree with me?
Well, of course not. That's kind of crazy. I mean, how many Muslims are in Israel?
2 million? 2 million
So
Arabs, not
why is it
Muslims. 2 million
needed?
Arabs, not
Do,
Muslims
do,
specifically.
do the 2 million Arabs or Muslims or whatever you want to call them, do they get searched?
Of course. When they leave the country, of course they get searched.
Do they get
100%. Of course,
detained?
when I was leaving the country with me in Alal security, they get
No.
searched.
But
They get
by their
searched more
own
strictly.
country, by their own country, do they get searched? Do they get detained?
In it when they leave the country?
No,
No.
no, no. By their own country. While they're living there, do they get
No.
searched or
No. No.
detained by
No.
Israel?
No, it doesn't happen. When you come into the country though, you have to get searched. You have to.
But as a Palestinian Muslim, I get sat down for hours. I get interrogated. I get discriminated against.
Well,
It's discrimination.
we've had many
It
terroristic
it doesn't happen to anyone else. Why not? Be consistent. Let's sit everyone down for 7 hours.
Can you give me a
If
specific
it's ra-
scenario? When did it happen to you?
well, I just did my personal experience. I mean, if it's racism, then admit it. If it's discrimination, admit it. Can you not?
it's not racism. We've had history of terror attacks in Israel, and you specifically going to Palestine to
Well,
the.
it is. It's profiling.
I don't think it's profiling. I think that's what the country needs to do. Sometimes,
It is. I think maybe you don't know what profiling means. It is literally profiling.
when you as a Muslim or as an Arab going into the United States, do you get searched? Not specifically you.
Do I?
You're an American.
No,
You're an American citizen.
no,
Let's say
no.
some.
I'm American. No.
Let's say somebody from a Muslim country, from an Arab country, without hijab and everything, goes into the United States. Do you think that he's gonna get searched more excessively than other people? Yes or no? Because I think that,
Probably.
of course.
Probably. Does that make it? I mean, that's the problem.
No.
Does it make it okay? America's doing it. Let's do the same. I mean,
no.
is that okay? It's like pulling over black people in the U.S. You know that?
But
too,
wait, hold
or
on.
no?
To your claim, Israel has to do that even more than the United States because we are experiencing a lot more terroristic attacks in Israel than in the United States. The United States started doing that after 9/11.
Well, once again, from outsiders.
From what do you mean from outsiders?
From U.S. citizens. I'm a U.S. citizen. Do they have to profile me?
It doesn't matter that you're a U.S. citizen. Have you seen?
Isn't the terrorism in Gaza and the West Bank? I mean, that's the problem, right? Gaza and the West Bank. Why are they profiling me as a U.S. citizen? Why am I being discriminated against?
It doesn't matter that you're a U.S. citizen. I've seen horrific stuff on TikTok from U.S. citizens saying Intifada is the only way to do a revolution. Go, I've seen terrible things from American citizens. It doesn't matter you're an American citizen. You can still have extremist thoughts. It changes nothing. It changes nothing.
I mean, you saying it's okay in America, the profiling is kind of, are you using that as a justification to say, well, let's do it in Israel, or what are you saying exactly?
I'm saying we have to understand why it's happening. The reason it's happening is because of 9/11. And by the way, my hands are here. I'm not going to skip. Just like last time.
I'm not going to skip either.
Okay.
I don't skip.
I'm saying what gave justification to the excessive searches is the suspicion that came after 9/11. When 9/11 happened, people had to be interrogated to make sure they don't get anything on planes, that they're not risking any valuable whatever. You understand why. I mean, I don't have to explain it to you. I feel like you understand.
Well, I know profiling exists, but when you do it to Arabs and Muslims, that's discrimination.
That's
literally.
security. That's security. You have to do it for security purposes.
Well, no, it's profiling and discrimination, like literally. I mean, this is how white supremacists justify racial profiling in the U.S. I mean, this is exactly the way they say. Oh, well, black people commit more crimes, so
which is correct.
It's okay.
Black people commit more crimes. That is correct. You're not saying anything wrong.
So they should pull them over more.
No, and you're not going to try and get that out of me, but I'm saying Arabs commit more terrorist attacks in Israel.
I mean, but by that logic, it's the same.
It's not the same. You're trying
that logic. Well, it is. That logic is literally the same.
What I'm saying
it is. I mean, it is. If you agree or don't, I mean, it just is. If you have a group that does crimes.
If you look at statistics. Who commits more terroristic attacks in Europe, in Israel, in the United States, in other places of the world? Who does? And who takes responsibility right after? ISIS? Hamas? Or is it just random people just doing, just for the sake of it, for the fun of it?
Hamas in Europe?
ISIS takes responsibility for a lot of terroristic.
I think I heard Hamas there. I mean, maybe you just wanted to put it in there for no reason, but have they ever?
Just to generalize the terrorist organizations that they are, ISIS takes most of the responsibilities in Europe.
Why generalize? I mean,
what do you mean why generalize?
Very different.
They're all associated.
They're
all associated with the same mindset of extreme ideology.
Well, Hamas never operated in Europe. Hamas never operated in Europe.
They don't operate in Europe. They focus most of their...
so my whole point is that you cannot generalize.
Of course I can generalize. They are a part of the same group.
Well, you can't. You're painting a fear.
What's the ideology of Hamas?
That Hamas will attack Europe, or the West. You're painting that fear.
Of course.
While generalizing.
Do they yell death to America? Do they scream death to America on the streets? After 9/11, they screamed death to America on the streets of Ramallah, on the streets of Gaza. It's recorded. You can go and look it up. So I'm asking you, do you think that if it's finished in Israel, they're not going to go to them?
That's rhetoric. That's rhetoric.
What's rhetoric?
I mean, what you just told me about Ramallah and 9/11, what happened after that. I mean, that's just.
You think it's
rhetoric,
okay? You think it's okay that they're yelling? What they're yelling? You think that it's okay that they're yelling death to America because you're in America? So if they're done with us, they're gonna go to you.
No. Or rhetoric rather. My bad. I'm tired. But it's different. It's different that than attacking.
Do you
know?
think there's any distinction between Hamas, between ISIS, between Hezbollah, between Taliban, between Boko Haram, between the Muslim Brotherhood? Do you think there's any distinction whatsoever because their ideology is the same?
Hamas and ISIS, yes.
What? I mean, ISIS beheads, Hamas
Hamas
beheads.
and ISIS, yes. Hamas and Hezbollah, yes.
So you think that ISIS and Hamas are the same? That's what you're saying, pretty much.
No, I'm saying there's a difference.
What's the difference? Could you tell me?
There's distinction. There's a distinction between Hamas and ISIS
Which is what?
and so on. I mean, Hamas is armed resistance from occupation.
Resisting is not burning
ISIS
babies.
is not.
Resisting is not burning people. Resisting is not raping women. Resisting is not raping men.
Well,
Resisting is not going
well,
into innocent civilians
So
and
so,
unaliving
so
them.
once again, Hamas. I mean, they're literally fought each other too. ISIS, Hamas, they fought each other. So,
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
The
they're
ideology
not
is
the
the
same.
same. Ideology
Hezbollah
is
and
the same.
ISIS, I mean, same thing. But Hamas, once again, is armed resistance from occupation, and ISIS is literally a gang of crazy people. Their ideology is completely different.
What do that's so crazy? Do they behead people?
They do a lot.
Hamas
They do
does
a
the
lot.
same. Do they behead people? Of course, Hamas does the same.
ISIS burned non-Muslims
I mean,
indiscriminately.
Hamas burned non-Muslims as well on October 7th. Charred people. You can see charred people in a car burned like this.
Well. That was indirect. If there is
Indirect?
any proof
How can
of
you
that,
be? How can you
if
be
there is any
indirect when you're
substantial
burning
evidence.
people? How can you be indirect? Did you know-
I mean that wasn't because they weren't Muslim.
so
Indirect
why
that
were
they
they?
are non-Muslim.
But Hamza, why were they yelling Allahu Akbar when they killed people? Why were they yelling? And there's a video. Allah is gonna repent them for their sins. They're saying that. You see them on the motorcycles.
Because that's their flavor. I mean, they're Muslims, but they're fighting for the Palestinian struggle. It's resistance with religion.
You and I want the same thing. You and I want the same rights for the Palestinians. Hamas in the way is not gonna
I mean,
help.
the way you've been going about. I mean, I don't know if we do have the same needs or I guess requests for the Palestinian people. It's the cause isn't an Islamic cause. It's the Palestinian liberation.
If you think that liberating a country or liberating people is by doing what they're doing, then I disagree with you. If we both want the same rights for the Palestinians, that they could be free, that they could, cross the border freely.
When you are occupied and oppressed, then any action is resistance. It doesn't matter what it is.
So you think what they did on October 7th is somehow going to do any help with their and by the way, they're not occupied. The only people they're occupied by is Hamas, because Hamas is the only group compromising their well-being.
Well, no, they are occupied. Well, first of all, it's an act of resistance, first of all. And secondly, they are indirectly occupied by the blockade, the siege, for the past 16 to 17 years. I mean, everything that goes inside, everything that goes out, who goes in, who goes out is controlled by Israel. The land, air, and sea is all controlled by Israel. Every source of human life, every source of human necessities is controlled by Israel in Gaza.
And Egypt.
Every major human rights group and the UN still call it an occupation. But
Again,
it's different than the West Bank 100%.
We go back to the question where we ask, why is there a blockade for the last 15, 16 years? And then we go back to 2005 when there was the disengagement, when they were trying to promote peace. And then Hamas was elected in 2006. Rockets were starting to being sent. And then Egypt said, hey, we don't want anything to do with this terrorist organization. It's going to compromise the Muslim Brotherhood that's on our side. And then the blockade has been more strict on the Egyptian side.
So I feel like so before we move forward, do you admit that it's an indirect occupation?
It's not an occupation. The blockade that's happening is from a specific reason.
In Gaza, no, it is an indirect occupation. And before we move forward, because I feel like maybe you do kind of agree with that. Do you admit that it's an indirect occupation?
I don't admit that it's an indirect occupation. No.
In Gaza.
In Gaza. Explain to me.
Did you hear a single word that came out of my mouth?
Explain it to me again. I'll try to see if I understand. Maybe I didn't understand.
Well, the majority of governments and legal commentators consider the territory to be still occupied by Israel. I mean, because of the restrictions on Gaza placed by Israel.
So the only occupation happening.
It's direct external control. It's not on the ground in Gaza, but external control. I mean, it's indirect control of on-ground life.
So yes, but it's
So
coming,
so
but
so
it's coming,
indirect.
but it's
Okay,
coming,
okay.
it's
So I
coming
mean,
from a
you agreed with
specific
that,
reason.
right? So it's indirect occupation then.
You know what? You know what? I'll agree with you on that. But do you agree with
Okay.
me that the root cause of that thing is because Hamas is running the Gaza Strip? Yes or no? I agreed with you about the indirect occupation. Can you agree with me about the reason for that being Hamas controlling the Gaza Strip?
In parts, not
What?
in whole,
How in
100%. I mean,
parts?
if there was no Hamas, it'd be like the West Bank. Well, there's no Hamas in power in the West Bank.
I mean, in the West Bank, a lot more people can cross the border, with less restrictions. They have more checkpoints, but they can cross the border
But
freely.
there's
In
still an
Gaza,
illegal military occupation on the Palestinian people, and there's civil
how is it illegal, Hamza?
civil law, and there's military law and civil laws for the Israelis that live there, the illegal Israeli settlers, and civil law or military laws for the Palestinian people. But it isn't because of Hamas; it's because of armed resistance. What's happening in Gaza? It's because Palestinians were fighting back.
I refuse for you to call them armed resistance. They're not armed resistance. When they go and
Well, I
commit,
just
when they
called
go
it
and commit
that, and
atrocities
I will
against it,
continue to call it that
when
because
they
that is what it
when
is.
they go and commit,
When they are oppressed and subjugated and discriminated against, then I mean it's resistance. Any
So
act they do is resistance.
can we take a different example and say when the African Americans were oppressed in the United States, were they committing terroristic attacks against innocent civilians, not against their slave owners? Were they committing any terrorist attacks, just like we saw here on October 7th, against innocent
Ha,
people?
ha, sure. Have you heard of Nat Turner's rebellion?
I've heard about that. Yes.
Sure. So what's your question?
Did they go to innocent civilians and burn them and rape
Well,
them?
that's literally it. That's the Nat Turner's rebellion.
Let me find out about that.
Yeah, you might need to look into it. I can type it in the chat for you if you want.
No, I can just look it up in a second. Just a second.
Cool. What about the Haitian Revolution? Many innocent white people died. The silence is very loud.
No, I'm just finding out the real information. Just like
Sure.
a
It's not gonna
responsible.
take it's not gonna take 5 seconds.
It's a slave rebellion. Who did they go against?
Do you know what the Nat Turner's rebellion is? I mean,
Wait,
that
it
took you
says
5 seconds.
It says here that it's a slave rebellion. Who did they go against? That's what I'm asking.
White people.
The white people? They're slave
Mm.
owners.
White people, including slave owners.
So
Not all are
they
slave
saw white
owners.
people down the street and they killed them.
Men, women, and children.
Anyone that took action in enslaving them. That's what I'm asking.
No, not
'Cause
all
if
of
that's-
them were
because if
were
that's the
slave
case-
owners. I mean, I think that's my whole point. Is
If
that
that's the case,
I mean,
though,
that's the point.
if that's the
not
case-
all of them were slave owners.
But if that's the case, if the majority were slave owners, then that means that they were not.
well, no,
that they
no,
were,
I'm
that they
saying
were not innocent.
Well, I'm saying not all of them were slave owners. I mean, children were killed, women were killed, men.
The children
were
of the
killed,
children of the slave owners.
and children that have nothing
Were they all
to
a
do
part
with
of the
that.
same
I mean,
group of slave owners? That's what I'm asking because
I don't know specifically, but that doesn't say that they're not innocent children. I mean, they're children.
they're not guilty as well. I'm saying, did they go to the families that enslaved them and do that to them? Because if that's the case,
Well-
it's not the same thing. Because they literally went to random people, including Muslims from the West Bank, Palestinians from the West Bank, and killed them.
Well, once again, I don't know specifically, but you asked me a question and I gave you an answer.
The answer
Nat
is not-
Turner's rebellion, Haitian Revolution is another one.
The answer does not suffice, unfortunately. It doesn't. They went against their slave
Well,
owners.
I
The
think
majority
I think
were their
only
slave
taking,
owners.
Well, I think only taking 5 seconds to do some research, I don't think that's good enough. I definitely think you should look into it. Maybe bookmark it.
I mean,
do
the
something
answer
of
was
that
pretty.
sort.
The answer was pretty straightforward, though. The answer was pretty straightforward. They went against their slave owners' families. The fact that there were children included, horrific. But they went against the people that enslaved them and made them
it
suffer.
wasn't.
And
Well,
whipped
once
them.
again, I think. Well, I think the whole point, from what I know, it not exclusively. I don't think exclusively slave owners. I mean, I think that's like the whole point of what I'm trying
majority.
to get to.
The majority were. Here, the majority were not soldiers. Here, the majority were
Well,
innocent people.
once again, I don't know specifically. Majority, not majority. Innocent people were killed from that. And you asked me that, and I'm telling you that's what happened.
Okay.
So once again, if you'd like to bookmark that and get to it later, then you could do that for
I'll
sure.
do that. I'll do
Sure.
that.
Cool.
However,
Just don't assume. Don't assume stuff.
no.
I won't assume. I'm saying I don't
Again,
know
again,
specific
again.
stuff.
If
I
if
hope you
you're
wouldn't assume
if you're
stuff
bringing
either.
up if you're bringing up that claim, I would want you to also do some research before you bring that claim. You understand what I'm saying? Also look it up so you can come up with the facts as well. You just threw something that probably somebody threw at you one time.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not. That's something I do know, though. Families that had nothing to do with the slave owners were killed. I mean,
Again,
it's a violent revolt. That's
I
what
have
the
to- I
Nat
have to
Turner's
find out-
Rebellion
I have-
was.
I have to find out more about that before I make any claim. I don't want to say something
Well, I
out of
think you
context.
should. So once again, I recommend you hit that bookmark.
I will. I will.
Sure.
And again, back to our topic.
And another one is Hayton Revolution. I may be mispronouncing
I'll look it up as
but
well.
Haitain Revolution. I think you should bookmark that too and get to it later. But hundreds of civilians
I will.
were killed. Yes.
I will. Hayton Revolution.
Cool.
Question: do you think that if there was no violence whatsoever from the Gaza Strip and from the West Bank, there would be any checkpoints? And give me your honest answer, the most honest answer you can possibly give me.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Yes. 1,000,000 times yes.
Why? What's the reason that you're saying yes? Because the only reason there's a blockade right now is to prevent terroristic attacks.
It's the subjugation of Palestinians. I mean, they don't want us.
I don't mind you living next
They
to us.
don't- they-
Do you mind living next to us?
Okay, cool. I'm talking about the government. I mean, they don't want us there.
The government has not always been right. You know, when the government was primarily elected, it was mostly left center. So please tell me, how does it make?
But they don't left, right, middle, up and down. I don't care. I mean, they just don't want us there. Would you mind if Israel annexed the West Bank and millions of Palestinians became Israelis? One state,
I mean, I know.
equal rights.
I think we talked about this. No, did we talk about the Palestinian
Well, once
Emirates?
again, back to the beginning of this conversation, I don't remember you. I don't remember the conversation we had. So I'm going to ask you once again, would you mind if Israel annexed the West Bank and millions of Palestinians became Israelis? One state, equal rights.
No.
You would not mind that?
No.
That would be okay
I would
with
not.
you?
I would not want that. What I would want.
Oh, you wouldn't want it?
No.
You
What
wouldn't
I-
want that?
What I would want is
Well,
I
okay,
would want is
but you-
Israel and Palestinian Emirates. Different.
But you said you don't mind.
What? Living next to you guys. Just like I don't mind living next to
living
Jordan.
next to me.
Of course, that's what I said. You can also you're recording this, so you can look at the edit later. That's what I said.
Yeah, no, I will. But
I'm saying
wouldn't-
I'm saying I wouldn't mind.
but not living with. But not living with. I mean,
mean, we're
that was my
living-
question. Not living with.
But Hamza, we're living with 2 million Arabs from before 1948. Families that were here before 1948. We're living with them peacefully. So
Okay,
please tell
so
me.
it shouldn't be a problem.
But
then,
you
right?
go there's a person called Gil Schuster. I forgot his first name. He goes to Palestinians and asks them, "Would you guys, if Israel said you guys can come and have an Israeli citizenship," they all say, "No, they stole our country. We want the whole thing from the river to the sea. We don't want to share anything with them." I am willing to share the land. I am willing to, I'm willing to say they can have what they want as long as they don't commit any terror attacks, and we can have what we want.
So that's all selective.
Why is it all selective?
Well, I think I know who you're talking about. And yeah, I mean, I think that's all selective. Like, he asks questions heavily edited.
He asked the same questions to Israelis, to all
Well,
Israelis,
he picks-
people that have been here for
well,
a
he
long
picks-
time, that committed all.
Well, he picks and chooses what to show.
I mean, it doesn't look like it. He doesn't edit anything. He doesn't cut anything out. He simply asks people.
From what I've seen, he does pick and choose what to show. I mean, but even so, you can't judge the oppressed.
Maybe that's just the reality, Hamza. Maybe that's just
by
the
the
reality.
standards of the oppressors. You cannot judge the oppressed.
Hamza, as a Palestinian, as a person who was born in the United States with Palestinian parents, I'm asking you this for real. Would you mind living in a land called Israel, a Jewish state, with Arab people, Muslim, Christians, Druze, Bedouin? Would you mind living in this land peacefully? Yes or no? And you get
Jewish
the same
state,
rights.
no.
You get the same rights.
Jewish state, no. I say equal state, not supremacist. That's the
It's
problem.
but it's not a
Not a
supremacy.
Muslim. Not well. It's. I mean, you just said Jewish state, right? So, I mean, that's supremacy. Well, in my opinion, it would be equal states, not a Muslim state, not a Christian state, not a Jewish state. Then don't call it a Jewish state if it's not supremacy. Why not a binational state? Why is it only you?
Because this land, for thousands of years, Jews have been yearning to go back to this land. Jews doesn't have any other land. They doesn't have
Bruh,
any place.
bruh.
They have no other place.
This is a serious bruh moment right here. I mean, really?
How many
2,000
Muslim states?
years.
Well, Hamza,
2,000 years. You think that's
3,000.
I mean, that is no argument whatsoever.
I don't know. You guys, your main claim is that we stole your land. However, Jews have been on this land before you guys, and then they were kicked out by the Romans. The name was changed to Palestine to mock the Jews against their biggest rival, the Philistines, which come from Crete.
It's 100 years. It's 100. Okay, wait. You can. Well, it's 100 years. Well, first of all, the way that Palestine got its name, or the first time that it's kind of recorded, the Greeks called it Palestine before the Romans. Maybe you didn't hear about that. Herodotus. Do you know who the Greek historian is? Herodotus. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
You should look it up.
I should. However, the Romans.
He wrote about Palestine.
The Romans.
They called it Palestine before the Romans. He used the word Palestine.
So what if they called it Palestine?
The land Palestine.
So what if they call it? I call the United States the land of the free. Does that mean that that's the name? No. The official name of the land was Judea and Israel, and they.
Okay, but don't say something that's false. I think the main
I'm not
reason
saying
why I
anything
kind of
that's false.
counteracted that is. Well, no. Don't say the Romans said it after they kicked out the Jews. I mean, that's just not true.
The
right?
Romans wanted to mock the Jews, so they renamed it Syria Palestina to mock the Jews.
Well, once again, Palestine. I mean, the way you're kind of putting this together is to try to put the guilt on us once again.
It's not on
Greeks
you.
Before
It's not on you. I'm talking about the Romans.
On the
I'm not talking about
Palestinians.
you.
Well, please. The Greeks, once again, they named or they mentioned Palestine. Greek historian Herodotus called it Palestine before the Romans. So whatever you're saying is, in my opinion, irrelevant. I mean, don't say the Romans said it after they kicked out of the Jews. That is basically trying to put the guilt on us, and as if we're the ones who did that. But once again, I mean, the name is just a name. Before that, it was Canaan. So what?
You see this? In 135 CE, after stamping out the province of Judea's second insurrection, the Romans renamed the province Syria Palestina. That is Palestinian Syria. They did so resentfully as a punishment to obliterate the link between the Jews, Hebrew, Yehudim to the province.
So I understand. So I understand that the Romans called it Palestine.
They renamed it. They renamed the country.
But the Greeks did it before them. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And clearly you didn't know about that. You don't know who Herodotus is. So please look into it and maybe add that to the list of your bookmarks.
I mean, that's information that I got online. You're probably going to say it's a Zionistic source, but that's what I got online.
I'm telling you I understand, but I think maybe you're not listening to me. I think you should look up. I'm not refuting what you're saying at all, actually. I'm just saying that there's more to it. I think if you go back before the Romans, the Greeks called it Palestine. Judea became Syria Palestina, right? But before that, the Greeks called it Palestine. They called it Palestine first.
Okay, and before that, what was it called?
The land of Canaan. But it doesn't matter.
No, I want you to admit that Jews had a kingdom here. I want you to admit that there was a king here. I want you to admit everything. I want you to admit that the Jews were here before the Palestinians. And not even Palestinians. Palestinians were,
So once again, I never admitted otherwise that the Jewish people were not there at all. I mean, they were.
All the Jews were here.
I have to admit. Well, it's not. Listen, Jewish people being there in general. I mean, that's not something I have to admit. That's history. Of course, they have a claim. I mean, it's a claim.
So pause right here. So if Jews were here before,
it's a claim. But the Romans also have a claim, I guess, and according to that logic, the Greeks do, and the Canaanites do. Of course, they have a claim, but so do a lot of others, and their claim doesn't give them the right.
But they don't have any claim.
Well, no claim does. No claim gives the right to push out others.
We were never trying to push anyone others. We never tried to push any Palestinians out. We never.
Well, that's exactly
we
well, that's
accepted a
exactly
partition
what
plan.
happened.
We accepted a
Well, well,
partition.
maybe you're well, maybe you're not familiar with 1948. I mean, by the sounds of it. So that's exactly what happened in 1948. 750,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homes. You can shake your head and deny that, but that's exactly what happened.
You guys.
Hundreds of villages were destroyed and thousands of Palestinians were killed. This was in 1948, not October 7th, not 1967. This was in 1948. 500 villages were destroyed. Massacres happened. Have you heard of Deir Yassin? Have you heard of Tantura? Probably not.
I've
and
heard.
This is probably
I've heard,
the first time these words are coming through your ears and out the others. Unfortunately, I think you should bookmark 1948
I've heard of Deir Yassin.
well.
I've heard of Deir Yassin. I've heard of Deir Yassin. Deir Yassin was a specific village that was blocking the Jews living in Jerusalem and the Jews living on the coast. The only reason they started a fight against Deir Yassin is because they were mocking Jews going their way from the coast to Jerusalem. They were harassing them, they were throwing stones at them, they were shooting them, they were committing atrocities against them. So the Jews on the west, on the west side, on the coast, wanted to liberate the Jews in Jerusalem, not to do anything else. And you know, when I brought this topic to my grandpa, he said, I asked him, so were Palestinians kicked out in 1948? He said, no. They left because they were scared of the conflict started by the Arab countries against the Jews, against the Israelis. They wanted to drive the Jews out of the country. So the only people that did not want us to be here is you guys.
They left?
Who? Who left?
Who left? Who left?
Who left? What do you mean? Refine the question. I don't understand.
The Palestinians left, you're saying?
The Palestinians left because.
But like, was it a choice? Like it was. It was.
Of course, it was a choice. For a lot of them, it was a choice.
Is that what? So the 750,000. Oh, so they left. Is that what you're saying?
750,000 people left as a choice because they did not want to take part of the conflict that started between these six Arab militaries against Israel.
So as a choice, they left.
Yes, a lot of them, not all of them. You're not gonna put words in my mouth. A lot of them left because as a choice, okay, because they did not want to take a part of the conflict.
Did the Jews in Europe leave, or were they displaced?
The Jews in Europe leave?
Yeah, did they leave, or were they displaced?
The Jews in Europe were displaced.
No, did they choose to leave, or were they displaced?
The Jews in Europe. They were displaced. The Jews in Europe were displaced because they were trying to commit a Holocaust against them, so they were forced to leave.
But that logic, you can say the same logic.
It's not the same logic. We never wanted. We never wanted to commit a Holocaust against you guys. We never did anything like that.
But I can use the same logic that they chose to leave. They left because of war. They chose to leave.
None of them was forced to leave, though. In our constitution, it says that the Arabs that will help us build the country will get exactly the same rights. It says it in the constitution. It says it.
But
I can look it up for you if you want.
I mean, 500 villages destroyed. You know Plan Dalet?
No, maybe I'm not familiar with Plan Dalet. But you guys talk.
That should be another bookmark. How many bookmarks do you have space
you know what? You tell me to bookmark a lot of things. I want you to bookmark this. Go read the Declaration of Independence of Israel. Go bookmark it. I want you to see it, writing it down.
Yeah. The declaration where there are no defined borders, right? What are the borders of the declaration, since you know so much about it?
I mean, the UN partition plan gave half of it, the shittiest part, to the Jews, and they gave the more flourishing parts to the Palestinians, the Arabs.
Maybe you have to bookmark this, but there were no borders.
Don't
mock the declaration.
Me. Hamza, don't mock me. Don't mock me. Don't do that.
I'm having
a respectful conversation with you. Don't mock me. Don't do that.
Then please have the facts straight. Do not be. Please just have the. You aren't respectful, by the way.
I'm not respectful.
And the declaration. I mean, you're not. You're not. Villages were destroyed. Massacres happened.
Hamza,
and people were kicked out. 750,000 of them were displaced from their homes, and you're saying we left like we chose to leave,
Hamza,
which is completely a lie. It's a myth. If my neighbor's house gets bombed and I leave, that isn't my choice.
Hamza,
that is displacement.
Hamza, if there's a conflict, if there's a war against Arab countries, with Arab countries going against Israel, and what they want to do is kick out the Jews real quick and you guys can come back, because that's what they told the Palestinians. They said, let us take care of this real quick and you guys can come back. But what happened? They lost the war. They lost the war.
They did.
If you start a war that you cannot win, then don't start the war.
They did studies, and that was a
They did
minority.
studies?
Yeah, and that was a minority. The Arab orders
What
to
minority?
evacuate.
What minority was that? 6 Arab countries started a war against Israel, against the Jews that had barely any means. 15 months
Well,
it
well,
lasted.
hang on for a second. I think maybe you're jumping. I don't. Maybe you don't know what I'm saying exactly. The minority of those displaced from 1948 is what I'm talking about.
The minorities? You
Yeah,
said
minority. We're
750,000.
following.
You said
Well, because
750,000.
you mentioned the Arab countries gave orders to leave, right?
No, the Arab leader said, if you guys
Or
leave,
whatever.
if
Sure,
you guys
sure.
leave,
Okay.
we will take care of the Jews
Sure.
real quick, and then you guys can come back, and we'll have a lot more land. Because the
So
main
I
goal
don't
of the
know.
war was
I
resisting a Jewish state next to an
I
Arab
don't, I don't
state.
know I don't know the words exactly that they used, but it was something along the lines of an evacuation order, and that only accounted for a small
When you
amount.
call it an evacuation order, it changes the context.
The
It's not.
minority of those displaced. I'm not saying the minorities. I'm saying the minority of those that were displaced. I mean that only accounted for a very small amount. The evacuation order.
Okay, and it's not true, by the way.
So I'm telling. It's not true. I mean, it is.
It's
I
not
mean, the
true.
majority were displaced because
Clearly
their
seven-
villages were attacked.
What
I
happened?
think you should look this up, man.
Wait.
Do you not know 1948? Do
Wait,
you not know what
Hamza,
happened?
Hamza. Then what happened to? Why are there 2 million Arabs, Palestinians that are still living in Israel peacefully with better rights than people in the West Bank? Why is that? Why are they? Why, if you ask Arab,
because
why
they are the
if you ask
minority.
Arabs living in
Hello?
Israel right now? If you ask Arabs living in Israel right now, ask them if they prefer living in any other country, in any other Arab country, they'll say no. They feel the most free in this land.
Because they are
How is
because
this
they are
supremacy?
because they are the minority. They wanted to make Palestinians the minority. That's why 750,000 of them were displaced.
We
So
never wanted
this
to
could
make the
be a
Palestinians
Jewish
the minority.
state.
We never wanted to do that, and
Well,
you know that.
Of course you did. That's the whole point of making it a Jewish state. I mean, they wrote about reducing the population to 15%. The Zionists.
The Zionists.
I don't remember specifically the number, but 15% was is what they said.
Again, I want you to bookmark again the definition of Zionism. Please go read it. Please go understand what it is, because it's
Well,
not. It's because it's not the
Do-
European
do,
movement.
Do you?
Because it's not the
Do you
European
know,
movement.
do you know what
that's-
Zionism is?
Of course I know.
Do you
It's
know
the,
what
it's,
Zion?
it's the will to go back to Zion, to the land of Israel. It has nothing to do with with the movement that you're talking about from Europe about Herzl. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with that.
Well,
All Jews around the world are Zionists. Most of them. A lot of them are going against.
but that's no, that's false. That's false.
Oh.
Not all actually.
So what's Zion? What's Zion?
There are many anti-Zionist Jews.
You
but
know why? Because
modern
you guys are
Zionist-
scaring the shit out of them with your protests.
So modern Zionism is the nationalist movement to establish a Jewish state in Palestine specifically. Right, that is what modern Zionism is. If you go back to 1897, 1898, where Theodor Herzl literally defined this as that. I mean, that is Herzl's Zionism, right? That is Ben Gurion. You know Ben Gurion? That is Haganah. That is Israel.
Hamza, why do Jews want to go back to Israel? Why did they want to go back to Israel for so many years?
Jesus.
That's exactly the same reaction you had last time we talked.
Did you? I mean, so Zionism is interesting. I think if you can I talk for a bit before, like, I know, because I'm gonna say some stuff that you might want to interrupt me in, but just can I talk for a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, some freedom. Okay, so Zionism, the idea, of having a Jewish state was not even from the Jews themselves. It was a British project in the 19th century, a British European movement, a colonialist movement, an imperialism movement, right? They wanted control over the Middle East after the Ottomans, but they also had a problem. They called it the Jewish problem, right? They wanted to get rid of the Jews, right? And also establish control over the Middle East. And I think, so I mean, they supported this idea in the 1860s even. This was before Zionism was actually given the definition by Theodor Herzl in the Congress in 1898. But then Zionism became a thing in 1898, right? this idea originated back in the 1860s, as I just mentioned, um, with the British, and the origins of Zionism, as I mentioned earlier, is imperialism. It's colonialism. Those are the origins of Zionism.
Okay. Can I talk now?
I mean, yeah, sure, and maybe once again, I mean, you may have your own interpretation of what Zionism is, but this is what it is. I mean, practically, this is what it literally is. And you may not like hearing that. You may have a different meaning, but that is what Zionism is. Like in your heart, you may have a different meaning, but this is how it played out. I mean, this is I'm just telling you historical facts and history, like what actually happened.
Okay. Zionism is the right for the Jews to self-determine in their ancestral homeland. You and I both agreed the Jews lived here 3,000 years ago. Correct? Just say yes or no.
So the ancient Hebrews
Wait,
are
wait.
not the
I'm not
same
asking to
people
be.
that
I'm
live
not
in
asking to
Israel
be
today.
interrupted. Just like I did not interrupt you. Just say yes or no. That's all I'm asking. Were Jews living here 3,000 years ago?
Yes.
Did Jews build a
Hebrews.
culture on this land?
Hebrews.
The Jews, no, Bnei Israel.
So
It says
what?
that in your Quran. The Jews.
Well, it was well, yes, Hebrews.
No, Bnei Israel. Bnei Israel are the sons of Jacob. You guys are the sons of Ishmael. We are the sons of Jacob. That's what it says in Surah
Well, no,
5, 20,
I mean,
21.
well, no, I mean they're called. I mean they're Hebrews though.
They're-
Hebrews.
they're
They're
Bnei
Hebrews.
Israel, they're
2,000,
Jews.
3,000 years ago. That's what you're talking about. Hebrews. They're Hebrews.
They're Jews. Jews. Judea. The land was called
Yeah,
Judea.
yeah. Ancient Hebrews. The ancient Hebrews were there.
What
Yeah.
was the land called in the Torah, in the Quran, and in the Bible?
Well, it's not a religious issue. I don't know why religion.
No. I'm just asking, what was it called? Because they were both developed way before 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. What was it called in those books?
I mean, you're mentioning the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, as if this is a religious issue.
It's
when
not a religious issue. I'm
simply
talking. I'm
not.
giving you.
Okay,
I'm giving you
I feel like that's
historical context.
irrelevant.
I'm giving you historical context from books that are very, very old,
Mhm.
old, and they all state
Sure.
Israel.
Sure, it said Holy Land.
It doesn't say Holy Land. It says Israel.
It says Holy Land though. I mean, children of Israel from the Quran. Do
Are
you
the
know?
sons? Israel is the second name for Jacob. So we are the sons of
Sure.
Jacob.
So
Okay, the
so
Muslims are the sons of
the
Ishmael.
Israelites. Sure. Okay. So what? Now what?
So that means that what? I'm saying in your Quran it says it's promised to the and it has nothing about religion. I'm not going to talk about religion. I'm saying the name Israel is mentioned in the Quran. The land Israel is mentioned in the Bible. The land Israel is mentioned in the Torah, meaning the people living here
Okay.
were Israelites, were from Israel. Okay? Now, the definition of Zionism
Well-
is the right for the Jews to go back to their ancestral homeland, which is
Well,
Israel.
and the land Palestine was mentioned in the Greek texts.
Okay, and so what?
So exactly, exactly. So what?
So what?
Names are stupid. Names are stupid.
Names are stupid. Okay, it's still.
Yeah, it's just a name.
Let me finish what I have to say.
Sure.
When we talk about Judaism, when we talk about Arabs, when we talk about ethnicities, because Judaism is an ethnicity, it's an ethno-religious group. When we talk about Arabs, it's an ethnicity. Where do Arabs come from? Where do they originate from? That's the question. Answer the question, and then we'll move forward. Where do Arabs originate from?
Arabs are diverse. I mean,
No.
they don't all come.
What's
from
their
one
origin? Where they
spot.
where do they originate from?
Well, Egyptians come from Egypt. Lebanese come from Lebanon. Syrians come from Syria.
That's nationalities. I'm talking about ethnicity.
No. That's
So let me
they
tell
are
you.
there. They are there.
Arabs-
Jordanians come from Jordan. I mean, no. I mean, they are there. They are made up of the indigenous population. I did my ancestry. I don't know if you did.
Arabs come from a place called
It
the
said
Arabian
Canaanites and
Peninsula.
Phoenician and Arab for me.
Arabs come from a place called the Arabian Peninsula, which is in Saudi Arabia. That's the area, okay?
Not exclusively. I think that was my whole point.
No, but that's the origin of the Arab people. That's where it started.
Well, not exclusively.
The place of origin for Arab people is from the Arabian Peninsula. The place of origin for Jewish people is from Judea. Jewish, Yehudi, Yehuda.
Once again, like Arabs in the Levant, for example. Can you still hear me? I hear some weird sound effects. Okay,
I can hear you.
Fine, actually. Yeah, cool. So, like Arabs in the Levant, they're not 100% from Arabia, and I think you may know that, maybe not. They're made up of the people who were living there, like the Phoenicians, like the
I mean,
Rabia.
a lot of the cultures that are currently in North Africa, in Israel, in Europe, they are all a reason of a conquest that happened back in the day, where they just conquered every little piece of land that they found. So they conquered North Africa. They Islamized the whole land. They conquered Israel. They Islamized the land as well with the Ottomans. That's what happened. That's what happened. And and
Well,
and
well,
and slowly, culture started changing. And you guys,
they Islamicized, they Arabized. Hold on, we are Arabized. But where are the Phoenicians today?
definitions. Can you write it
Mm.
down? I don't know the definition of that word. Phoenicians,
You don't know what
Phoenician.
a Phoenician. You don't know what a Phoenician is.
I mean, if I have to guess what it is, I,
Well,
I
okay,
would say people from
sure.
Finland. I don't know what a Phoenician is.
From Finland. No, no, no. Your neighbors. They were also there.
Phoenicians. How do you spell that? Oh, P.
Phoenicians.
Okay, go ahead.
So, okay, well, okay. Where are the ancient Egyptians? What happened to them?
The name Phoenicia is an ancient Greek acronym that did not correspond precisely to a cohesive culture or society as it would have been understood natively. Are you talking about the Greeks?
No,
That's what it says here.
not well. I'm not talking about the Greeks. So okay, I don't have time to like go through all of this. But do you know Phoenicia
No.
or Phoenicia? I mean, however.
We don't have a
Phoenicia,
term like that in
no.
Hebrew. No. Or in English. I mean,
Uh,
I don't understand that term.
well,
It's not my
well.
first
It was
language,
an
by the way.
ancient. Sure, sure. Well, it was an ancient civilization in the Levant, northern Palestine, and today Lebanon. So I definitely think you should look into a little more. I think it's right next to you, um, and I mean, also this was like 2,000, 3,000 years ago. But like what I'm trying to say is what happened to them? Where are the Phoenicians?
Where are they?
Well, yeah, exactly. What happened to all the civilizations and people in the Levant? I mean,
What
the
I mean,
Phoenicians
I know the
are
Jews. I know
Lebanese.
the Jews were displaced. I know the Jews
They
were
are the
displaced.
Lebanese. They are the Syrians and the Palestinians. We are made up of them.
Come.
I'm not gonna come on camera because I don't want you to post me on your TikTok. But Phoenicians were
Um,
Greek, so maybe you should do some research. Phoenicians, like
um,
that's where like language came from. Like the oldest languages are
so
Phoenician, Hebrew, Aramaic. So if maybe you should do some research because Phoenicians were Greek, and maybe you're talking about the
well, the Phoenicians,
Philistines.
the Phoenicians I'm talking about are the ones in the Levant. I mean,
The
today it's
Phoenicians did
Lebanon,
not come from
right?
the Levant.
Or
I don't
northern
know.
Pal.
They did not
Well,
come
they
from the
didn't come from.
Levant.
They come from Greece, did they?
Yes, they did. Yes, they
Mediterranean,
did. They were Greek. They were not. They were not from the Levant.
Mediterranean, though. Like, I mean, they
What
were
are
in the
you defining
Levant.
as Mediterranean, though? Like, what's your point?
They were
Maybe you're
they
talking
were in the
about the
Levant.
Philistines. You might
They
be
were
talking about
they
the
were in the
Philistines
they were
who
in
were
the
from the
Levant.
Levant.
Are you talking about the
I think
Philistines?
this is
You might be talking about the
no,
Philistines or the
no, no. I'm
Moabites
talking
or
no,
those
no.
were
I'm
people
talking
who.
about the Phoenicians. No, I think maybe you're just trying to hyper focus on something so we don't move forward. But
No,
I mean,
no, the
I'll let you do
Phoenicians
that
were
if you'd
Greek.
like.
Like you can look it up
No,
on
no. I mean,
Google. Phoenicians were Greek, and
well,
you
well,
can.
well. I don't know about their ancient connections or
So
whatever.
then
But
why are you talking
they
about
were in the
them?
Levant.
Wait, so
They
why
were
are you
in the
talking
Levant
about them if you don't know about their ancient connections?
My feisty wife.
because they were in the Levant, not Greece. That's my
But
point.
they're not
Lebanon,
from
modern
they're not
Lebanon.
from the Levant. They're not from the Levant.
Th- Well, no. They were in the Levant,
I can tell you
right? Not
who's from the
Greece.
Levant. There were Moabites, there were
Well,
Canaanites,
that's
there were
yeah.
there
Well,
were
that's not my
there were
point. They were in the
Jews, there were.
Levant.
I
Wait,
don't.
but
I
can
don't
you just
understand.
drop the Phoenician thing for a second? I'm telling you about people who were from the Levant, and the Palestinians did not
Well,
come from
I
people
think
in
you
the
just
Levant.
entered a conversation that I was having with I'm not sure who this person
Sahar.
is related to you, but I was having a conversation that you kind of interrupted. I feel like
I interrupted because you
Maybe
talked. You were
yeah, and
trying
it's
to
just
make
like
him look
it has nothing to
stupid.
do with the conversation. I feel like now you're trying to like shift it some
No, because
other
you don't know what
way.
you're talking
I
about, so
had a
you're
point to
getting
make,
stuck.
and I think you just interrupted that.
What was your point, that the Phoenicians were from the Levant? Because that's just not true.
Well, no, no. So they were in the Levant, and there were other civilizations, and we are made up from them. Canaanites. I mean, we come from Canaanites. We
Canaanites
come
do
from
not come
ancient
from
Hebrews.
Phoenicians.
Well, so can I get a sentence in without
Sure.
interruption? Maybe I can. Sure. Okay. So once again, that's not my point. Where they were in the Levant. There are other civilizations. There were other civilizations that were made up from them. We come from the Canaanites. We come from the ancient Hebrews. We also come from the Arab. We are made up of all of these people. We do. I did my DNA test. It said 80% Canaanite, ancient ancestry, illustrative DNA. Do you know that service?
Do you know how DNA tests work? Because I actually do, and I can explain it to you. Do you want me to explain to you how the like 23andMe? Do you want to know how they work? They
Well,
take a
I
DNA
didn't.
sample. For example, you want to take the Levant, for example. So they take the Levant area and they take a
Well,
sample.
they do
Wait, I'm
they
trying to
do
explain to
DNA
you
tests with
something.
ancient samples. Well, no, I know how it works. They do DNA tests with ancient samples from archaeological samples, ancient samples,
No, that's
not
not how it
modern
works.
samples. No, I mean, well, that's the truth. The one I'm talking about, that's what they did, and that's exactly what I took. It
But
says
that's not how
80%
DNA
Canaanite.
tests work nowadays. How can they take DNA samples of
Well,
ancient people that don't
illustrative
exist anymore?
DNA, illustrative DNA. Do you want me to type in the chat? That's the company I used.
I can tell you how DNA tests work, okay? You're not letting me finish my sentence. Like I'm
I'm
just
telling you
trying
what
to
the service I used does,
Amazing.
and that is
I'm
exactly
explaining
what
to you
they
how
do.
modern
They
day
do.
DNA tests work when they're telling you from what area you are from the world. Generally,
Well, this is irrelevant. You're talking about ancestry. I
but
mean,
you're not
like
letting me. Like, you're very
ancestry.com.
manipulative. You know that. Like you say, you
He's the
try
best.
to
He's the best at
you
doing that.
try to block like whatever someone else is saying, and then when you don't know what you're saying, you say that that's not what your
mean,
point
what you're
was.
talking about is a different thing. You
But
understand
it's
that? I'm
not because
talking
you
about
just brought
ancient
up your
DNA
DNA
tests.
test. You just brought up your DNA test and said that it
Yeah.
was from the Levant. So I'm trying to explain to you why
Yes. So,
your
so
DNA
you're
test comes from
arguing.
the
You're
Levant.
arguing with yourself. First of all, you're
How am I
arguing with
arguing
yourself.
for myself with myself?
Because I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about ancient DNA tests. It's a different test. It's a different thing. It's a different point. Once again, you were arguing with yourself.
Okay, so
Ancient
let's say your
test,
DNA
not
test.
modern.
Let's
Not
say your
modern.
DNA test is
I
an
know
ancient
what you're
DNA
talking
test.
about. I know what you're talking about. That's
Right,
not what I
okay.
was doing.
So let's say your DNA test is ancient and you're from the Levant area, which most Palestinians, by the way, are not from the Levant area. They're Arabs who were
Well,
from
no,
Egypt
they
or
are. That's the
Lebanon.
thing.
No, they're
But
not.
that's
That's
the thing.
not
They
the
are.
majority.
But that's
Why,
the thing.
why is the third most
Well,
popular last name in Egypt is El Masri, which means from Egypt?
In Gaza, not in
In
Egypt.
Gaza, sorry. The
okay,
third
so
the
so
third
so
most
what you're
popular
saying,
last
what you're
name.
saying about how Palestinians are not, from there,
They're
from the
not
Levant.
because
I mean,
they're Arabs.
well,
And
hang
Arabs
on, hang
come
on,
from the
hang on. I
Arabian
mean,
Peninsula.
is history static?
What's
Are
your
people
point?
static? Are people static?
No, they're not static.
Do people move?
Yes.
Okay,
So
okay,
you're
okay. But
proving my
history,
point
history
that
is
people
history.
moved
Is
into
history
the Levant.
static?
Thank you.
Is history? No, is history?
What's
we
your
moved on
point?
from that. I feel like you're. I don't know. 2,000 years is static. History is static. Nobody is 100% anything.
Okay, yes.
You are not 100% from ancient Hebrews. I am not 100% Arab. I'm mixed Arab, Canaan, whatever, Phoenician.
Okay,
whatever.
yes. What's your point?
Well, Jews are always Jews.
Yeah, by the way, like I took a
you live-
DNA test
if
as
you
well,
live-
and I'm
Okay.
99.9
but
Jewish.
This
so-
this whole thing leads back to what this young man was saying. You cannot say I'm from Arabia.
You are though.
I'm not that young. I'm 28.
Like maybe
Oh,
you
man. I mean,
specifically
I
are
know, and what
not.
you're
I'm
saying-
not
and
gonna
what
talk
you
about
said-
you
But
because I don't
I'm
know.
not from Arabia though. Like I'm not from
No,
Arabia.
like-
Where are Syrians from?
Syria, but they're not. Syria was not Arab.
No,
before.
what happened? What? Okay, what happened to the people before them?
What do you mean? What happened to the people before them?
The Syrians. The Syrians.
I mean,
what
I can
happened to
tell
the
you
people
that
before them?
I can tell you that Arabs from the Arabian Peninsula came and colonized a bunch of countries. You want to talk about colonization for real? They came and colonized a bunch of countries and Islamized everything, basically. And then a lot of people started calling themselves Arab, but they weren't
What,
Arab or Muslim
Islamized
before.
and Islamized and Arabized?
Yes, because I can tell you that just like Judaism is an ethno-religious
Well,
group.
yeah,
Which
we
means
called
that it's-
ourselves. Well, we called ourselves Arab, and we weren't from Arabia,
Exactly, because
like
you were not Arab.
like you just said.
Right, and then Arabs came
So,
from the
oh no,
the
thank you.
Arabian
Thank you. I
Peninsula.
think you accidentally just proved my point. I mean,
What?
we called ourselves Arabs, and we're not from Arabia. Oh
Right,
no, we're
because
not
Arabs-
100% Arabian.
Because
I'm
Arabs
mixed.
came to the area and Arabized
I'm mixed.
the area.
Palestinians are mixed.
Wait, what are you
We
not
live there
understanding?
consistently.
Syrians were not
Jesus
from
Christ.
the Arabian Peninsula, yes, and then Arabs from the Arabian Peninsula came and Islamized and Arabized Syria.
Wait, say
So
that again. Say
Syrians-
that again. Where am I from?
I don't know about you. I'm not talking about you. I don't care where you're from.
What
honestly.
did you just say, though? What did you just say? I mean, am I not from the Arabian Peninsula?
I don't know. I just said I'm not speaking about you. You might have ties
Well,
to the
because your
Levant. I don't know about
your
you.
husband says otherwise. He said I am.
Sure, okay, so he can have his own opinions and his own thoughts. We can't have separate thoughts. Like we're one
So
person.
then this is very confusing. Maybe you can step out of the conversation because I don't know. It's not helping.
I just feel like you're feeling a little threatened that I'm
You're-
like, teaching you
No,
stuff that you don't know.
You're proving him wrong. You're proving him
I'm
wrong.
not proving him wrong. He said a lot of amazing
you are.
things.
You're telling me something the complete opposite of what he told me.
But I'm
you're
just
proving
telling
him
you
wrong.
that I don't want to talk about you. He talked about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people in general who are
Okay,
Arab
but
from the
you were
Arabian
saying
Peninsula.
you were saying we were Arabized. You were saying we are Arabized. You're saying that we were Islamicized or Islamicized.
Yes,
Islamized,
most of
whatever.
Yes,
Exactly.
most of the Middle
I mean,
East
exactly.
was Islamicized.
Most of North Africa
Wait,
was
you just
Islamicized.
wait. You just said exactly
Jesus,
right.
bro.
So what is that
Yeah,
called?
that's what happens. They
Okay.
were. They were.
Amazing. Yeah, they were. So what is that called? Not
Okay.
colonization?
You guys are the biggest colonizers.
They
Is that not
they became
colonization?
Arab.
They
No.
became Arab
Culturally-
peacefully. They were just
Culturally, they became.
Oh,
Arab is
yeah?
a culture. Yeah, they
like,
became Arab.
Really?
They say
Yeah.
they say pay your jizya or convert to Islam, and if not, we're gonna أيوة عليك يا مجنون يا حيوان. That's what they say.
It's
I mean,
really
but
interesting
listen,
to me that you don't that
listen,
you
it's-
call
it's-
Israel a colonizer.
Yeah, I mean,
but
listen.
you can't
Yeah,
look
they
at
wanted taxes. You want to look at
Protection tax?
southern Spain.
Why
You wanna
do
look
I
at
need
southern
to pay
Spain?
taxes to practice my religion,
Do
to
the
practice my
Muslims-
belief? Why do I need? Do the Muslims pay
Do
jizya?
you want
in
to look
Israel?
at? Do you want to look at southern Spain and how the Jews lived?
I'm not
under
talking
the
about southern
Muslims?
Spain. I'm talking about Israel. I'm talking about do Muslims do they have any other rights? Muslims that live in Israel praying and practicing their belief other than Ramadan, where they're the most violent, where they commit the most terroristic attacks.
It depends. Well, it depends.
What do you mean it depends?
Do you consider,
why
do
are you
consider
making
the,
your
Do you consider the West Bank part of Israel?
the West Bank is not a part of Israel? No.
Do the Arabs,
not.
do
It's
the
not.
Muslims in
Okay,
Israel, do
good.
the Muslim Arabs in Israel, in proper Israel, pay jizya, a protection tax, to
course not.
practice their religion?
Of course not.
No, they don't.
Okay, why is that?
So, okay, the West Bank, Palestinians
I'm not talking
do
about
live
the West
differently.
Bank. I'm talking about Israel,
well,
proper Israel.
any non-Muslims in Jordan don't.
Yeah, exactly.
they don't
Thank
pay
you.
tax.
That's really messed up. That in all Arab Muslim
Well,
countries.
that's
people
modern.
of
Well, that's
other-
modern world. Well, that's modern
What's
world.
modern world? Modern world to have to
Yeah.
pay a protection tax to practice your religion? You live in America. What are you talking about?
No, they don't. They don't. I'm telling you, that's modern world. They don't. Any non-Muslims in Jordan do not. That is modern. They do not.
Hamza,
Maybe you misheard me.
Can I show you something, Hamza?
What? What do you want to show me?
Do you want to be a shaheed?
إن شاء الله بإذن الله تعالى.
What do you have to do to become a shaheed? Would you like to tell me?
والله, if they let us come to Palestine, I swear to God, we will inside Israel, and I will eat the. I will.
You're talking about eating a lot. That's probably because Yemen is poor.
What is this change of subject? I'm confused. I don't know what this is.
We walk with guns because we know we're safe. A little kid that's 8 years old, I swear to God, he has an AK. What are you talking about?
And that's
I'm very confused. I'm very confused.
You're confused why? You're confused why?
Yeah, well, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm very confused.
You're looking at a
I mean,
Yemenite,
is this-
at a 17 Yemenite kid who wants to come to
well,
Israel
I-
and
well,
eat
I have,
the
I have a
president.
question. I have a question for you. Is this what you do when you're losing an argument? You just showed me a random video.
I'm losing an argument?
I mean, but is this what you do when you lose?
I
I mean,
didn't-
like,
I
this
didn't-
has nothing to do with anything we were talking about. That was irrelevant.
Why?
That
Why?
was
Why was it?
completely
Why was it
irrelevant.
irrelevant? Is it tied to Israel and Palestine in any
I don't
way?
even know what the hell that. I don't even know what that video was. You're showing me a random video.
I'm not showing you.
And-
I'm showing your thousands and thousands of viewers. That's what I'm showing, not you.
Yeah, well, no,
You're
no.
young, aren't
what you're
you?
doing, what
He's
you're doing
22,
is
just turned
changing.
22.
You sound very young
Oh,
with
so,
the
so
way
that
you
you want them to
debate.
follow you? Are you self-promoting? Is this what that is?
I mean, have I mentioned my TikTok name in
Do
any
you-
in
do
any
you-
way?
Do you want me? Do you want me to shout you out?
Go ahead.
Jesus.
Go ahead. Do it.
No. So, I mean, listen, we were talking about history and Arabs, and I was mentioning historical facts, and I guess that was
What
too much for
historical
your
fact-
brain, so you had to
What
show me a
historical facts
random
were you
video.
saying exactly? What historical facts? Like
Well, I-
Phoenicians were not Greek.
How Palestinians have a claim to the land.
They don't have a claim
They don't
to the
have
land.
a claim to the land.
Yeah, we still approved. We still we still approve
we
living on the
do.
Jewish
we
side.
do.
What?
Well, we do have a claim to the land. I mean, we're made up of all the civilizations that lived here.
But Hamza, we
Or
never
lived
wanted
there,
you
you
to
know?
not live
I
on
mean-
this
I mean, do you-
land. The only people
do you
not
know
wanting
what?
the only
do you
people.
know what Ben Gurion said about the Palestinians?
I don't care what Ben Gurion said about the Palestinians. Stop generalizing what one person
Well, he
said.
said that the peasants are the closets to the Hebrews.
Okay.
Or the what's it called? He said that the peasants were the closest to the Hebrews, the ancient Hebrews.
Hamza, if you wanted peace, if you truly wanted peace, you would advocate. You would actually understand that Jews do not have a problem with Palestinians. Jews do not have a problem
I'm
with
getting
Arabs.
tired, bro. Dude, Ben Gurion literally said
I
that,
think
bro.
the
I'm
problem is he
getting
doesn't
tired.
really know
He
what's
doesn't.
going
He doesn't
on.
know. He doesn't know. I know. He doesn't.
I think you should
1948.
do a little bit of
Have you ever heard of it?
research.
think you should book- I- I think-
750,000 Palestinians displaced from their homes, 500 villages.
Hamza, I think you should bookmark what you're talking about. It's not true. Jews never wanted Palestinians displaced. Never.
But
If
that's
you
what
look
happened.
at history, can
That's
I
what
just
happened
say
because
something
you
to
guys
you?
started a war against us.
2 million are internally displaced in Gaza.
2 millions are internally displaced. Because of
Yeah,
who?
that's-
Because of who?
Because
Who
of
is responsible?
Israel.
Which parents left the other parent?
Israel, the
How is
IDF,
Israel
the
responsible?
IDF, the bombs, the invasion.
Oh, because nothing happened before that,
the
right,
ethnic
Hamza?
cleansing.
Because nothing happened before that. Because the bombs just dropped out of the sky because
12,000
nothing happened.
Is there a reason to kill 12,000 kids? I don't care what happened before. 12,000
And your numbers
kids
are
dead.
coming from where? Where
Nothing
are you getting
happened
your
before
sources?
then.
Are you tied to Hamas in any way? Are
Nothing
you like
happened
their
before
promoter?
then?
What are you talking about?
The
Where are you getting your
numbers?
numbers from? Where are you getting your numbers from? I'm
Jesus.
dying to understand where. Who
Am I
approved
tied
this
to-
number?
Am I tied to Hamas? Did you really?
No.
Am I tied to Hamas?
No. Let me ask you something. 70,000 tons.
Wait, did you just ask me that though?
I asked you if you're their promoter because it seems like you're a pretty good advocate for them, you know?
I'm tied to Hamas.
I asked you if you're tied to Hamas. Yes.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Sometimes I don't understand what you guys are doing. I don't understand what you guys are
Gee.
doing. What are you advocating for?
I didn't say Hamas once.
It's okay. You're still advocating for the Palestinians. You're
Throughout
still
this
advocating.
entire conversation, Hamas did not come out of my mouth.
We talked about Hamas
uh,
many times when we compared ISIS to Hamas. Don't lie. You're lying again on stream.
Okay,
Isn't that,
okay,
isn't that
but not for the reasons you're looking for. The name, the word. Oh,
You're
okay.
saying I'll tell
I
you.
said Hamas what twice, 3 times,
You're-
bro. Just like that, throughout this entire conversation, I have not been promoting Hamas. What are you talking about?
You're saying
I'm
that
tired.
You're
I'm
saying
tired. Listen.
You're saying that's what you said last time as well. You're saying that Hamas.
Yeah, because
know
I'm
why you're
talking to you
tired?
at
Because
6:13
you're-
a.m.
You're tired because
I'm
mentally you
tired 'cause
can't
it's
keep
6
up with
a.m.
this conversation.
It's 6 a.m. and you're denying our suffering. We are dying.
No one's denying
I'm
that
not denying your
Palestinians
suffering.
are suffering.
I'm saying the only reason the Palestinians are suffering
You're
is because
saying it's a
corrupt
lie.
leadership
You're
is because
saying it's a lie.
is because of corrupt leadership doing terroristic attacks and burning people in
you're
Israel.
saying it's a lie. You're saying the numbers are lies.
I'm saying
though.
you can't verify the numbers. They're coming from Hamas. They're coming from the Gaza health organizations, which is controlled by Hamas.
So you're denying our suffering.
I'm not denying your suffering. And you're putting words in my mouth. I'm not doing that. I care about.
So do you think 12,000 children died?
I don't think. I think this number is not verified. I do know the children are dying. I
how
do
many-
know. I do know the children
How
are
many-
dying. I'm not.
I mean. Do you
This is the
understand-
cost of
you-
war, Hamza.
And this may shake you. This may shake your world. But you are just like a Holocaust denier. 6 million versus 6,000.
How
That's
dare
what they
you
said.
even
How
compare?
dare
How
you?
dare
Oh
you
my
even
God.
compare?
That's what they
killed
say.
your people as well. How dare you? They
You're
killed every.
just as
They killed
bad as a
every.
Holocaust denier.
They killed every person
How
without their
dare
skin
you?
color. They killed every
How
person.
dare you?
Hamza, they killed every person that did not have their skin color
How
and their eye
dare
color.
you?
If we were not
How
white
dare
enough,
you
12,000
compare a
children.
real
How dare you?
genocide?
Shame on
Age of
you.
the 12,000
How dare you
children
compare
are
a real
5-year-olds.
genocide?
Shame on you.
A
Right,
real
they're
genocide to your
babies, and now they
fake,
are
your fake
starving.
occupation
Kids are
genocide.
starving to death.
Shame on you.
People are starving to
Shame
You're
death.
on
so
you.
shameful that you just compared that to the
Shame on
Holocaust.
you.
Shame on you that you're comparing it to the Holocaust.
The people in Gaza have no
Disgrace.
hope left. You killed them.
Their hope went out the door when they
blood-
elected Hamas in
blood-
2006.
The blood is on your hands, both.
There's
of
nothing you
your
can say
hands.
anymore. That
You are
that was so
denying
shameful
our
what you
right
just
to
said.
exist,
That was
to
so
live,
beyond
to
shameful.
breathe. You hate us.
They could have
You
lived
hate the
peacefully. They could have lived
Palestinian
peacefully if
people.
their ideology
But
was not so
I don't
hateful.
hate you.
We don't hate
I
the
love
Palestinian
everyone.
people. We do
I
not
don't
hate them.
hate you. I love everyone. I don't want anyone to die.
How
I
dare,
don't
how
want to
dare
die.
you?
Yeah, keep trying to get yourself out of the hole that you just
I
dug
will
for
never
yourself. You
say
just
that
that was
October
so
7th
shameful.
never happened.
Ew, I
I've
don't
said
know.
October 7th happened many times. I've always talked about it. But you will deny us.
I'm not.
I won't deny October 7th, but you will deny us. You will deny our suffering, our 12,000
I'm
children
not
that were
denying.
killed.
I'm not
And
denying.
that's the difference between you
I'm not.
and me.
I'm not denying the casualties in Gaza. I'm saying this is the cost of
support
war.
hate and I
cost,
don't.
And war is horrific, and you know that war
I
is
support
horrific.
peace. I support peace and justice.
I also
You
support.
don't.
I also support peace and justice. And what happened on October 7th is not
Well,
justice
don't
and
go
not
back.
peace.
Don't go back.
I'm
don't,
not tr-
don't,
I'm-
don't go back.
I'm
I mean,
not
it's,
trying to.
it's
I'm
pathetic.
not trying to go back. What I'm saying is. I want the Palestinians to have their freedom. I do. I truly do. And I know you. It may be hard
Well,
for you to
well,
believe because you're trying to paint Israelis
I mean,
as so evil and
you're
mean.
pathetic. You're so
I'm
pathetic.
pathetic.
I mean,
The
you
one
don't.
comparing the
You
Holocaust
don't. I
to-
mean,
to
you're
what's happening
literally
right
just
now?
a liar.
I'm a liar.
You
I'm
are
a
a
liar.
liar. Yeah.
You're
12,000
yelling.
children
You're yelling
dead.
random numbers that don't even make sense. That are not authorized and verified by
12
anyone. There's one organization naming those
Unverifiable?
numbers, and you're saying that makes sense.
Unverifiable?
Yes, they're not
Really?
verified.
Unverifiable?
Who verified them? Who
12
counted? Who counted
12,000
31,000 people?
We have names.
You have
We
names?
the names.
Who
of
verified the names?
yes.
Who verified the names?
We have lists that are hundreds
I want to
of feet
see.
long.
I want to see death certificates. That's what I want to see.
12,000 children dead.
Okay.
And you denied that.
I know
That's
the children's. I
unverifiable.
know the children's are dying. I know
We
that
have
women are
lists
dying.
of
I
the
know.
names, 100 feet long
Hamza,
lists.
I'm not
and
denying that people
entire-
are dying.
Entire families
not-
wiped out. Like last names literally erased from existence.
Hamza,
erased from the registry.
Just like the families in the settlements next to Gaza.
That's
Just like them.
genocide.
Just like them.
What
but
is
you're,
happening
but you're
to the
failing to
Palestinian
admit it.
people
You're
in
failing.
Gaza right now is ethnic cleansing.
It's not ethnic cleansing.
It's genocide.
It's not ethnic cleansing.
You're crazy.
It's not ethnic
you
cleansing.
are crazy. You are evil, and it is.
I am evil.
Unfortunately for yourself.
I am
mean,
evil.
You want death.
I
You
don't want death.
I want peace.
I don't want death. I want.
That's the difference.
I want Hamas to
That's
be
the difference.
eliminated from. I want Hamas to be eliminated. That's what I want. I'm gonna say this, and this
Do-
is what
do,
I want.
Do you support the ceasefire?
A ceasefire under the current conditions? Do you know what their terms are? Do you know that they want 150 prisoners that committed terroristic attacks for one innocent civilian?
Oh my God! Wait! You support death? Do you support the ceasefire?
You're
Yes or
such
no?
a great manipulator, Hamza. Such a
You
great
support
manipulator.
That. No. I mean, that's just what it is. How can you say you don't support?
I don't support
ceasefire.
death. I don't support death. I
mean,
support our hostages.
How are you gonna say you don't support death? When you
Hamza,
can't
do you
support
support
the
our
ceasefire?
hostages coming back?
End it now.
Do you support our
if you-
hostages coming back?
If you could push a button,
Answer
if you
the
could
question.
push a button and end
Answer
everything,
the question. Stop
ceasefire,
asking.
would you?
Stop asking. Stop
If you
asking
could
these
push
questions.
a button and end everything.
Do you want
If
our
you could push
hostages?
a button-
Do you
if you
support
could
our
push a
hostages?
button and end everything, ceasefire, would you?
Hamza, do you support our hostages
You're
going
not
back to
answering me.
Israel?
You're not
You're
gonna
not
answer
answering
me.
me. I'm
If
asking
you
you.
could-
I'm asking you 10 questions already. Do you support the hostages
If you-
going back to Israel? Yes or no?
Of course I do.
Under what conditions? They want 150 prisoners
Go back.
in
What
exchange.
are you talking about? Oh my God! Do you know what a ceasefire is?
A ce-
Oh my
do you know their terms for their ceasefire? Do you know what they are?
If you could push a button, and end everything, ceasefire, would you?
I would not want a ceasefire under the current conditions.
Oh
no,
my God!
I would not.
Oh my God! Oh my God! You're literally Bye. Jesus, take care. Stay safe, and stop with the genocidal comments and stop with the supporting death. Seriously, what the hell is your
The
problem?
whole conversation is recorded.
Jesus.
The whole conversation is also recorded on my
What
side.
the
So I'm
hell?
just letting you know if you're trying
You
to
don't
get,
support it.
if you'll try to get
I mean,
stuff
yes,
out
it
of,
is,
if you'll
though.
try
It
to
is,
get, if you're
though.
trying to get stuff out
But
of
it
context
is,
in
but
your,
it is.
in your thing, I'm gonna make sure that everybody knows exactly what you said. Don't worry. I can also,
And-
I can
and
also change
you
things in my
couldn't-
videos to make them
What
look
did I
like.
say? What did I say?
You compared what's happening in Gaza to the Holocaust. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What- do you understand? I didn't compare. When did I compare that?
Why were Jews?
I compared what you said to deniers.
I did not deny anything. I know that children are dying.
You're denying, but you did, and you continue to do it. 12,000 kids were killed, and you're
I know-
denying that.
I know-
You denied our suffering.
I know the
I'm
children.
comparing the deniers.
I know the
When
children.
did I compare the Holocaust to what's happening on Gaza?
Hamza, do you want to?
When the hell did I do that?
Do you want to let me speak for a second? Do you want to let me speak?
No, but like what you said is false.
It's not false.
I mean, but there is no comparison.
For the
I would
fourth
never
time,
compare
I
that.
understand-
You denied our suffering.
For the fifth time, I know that children are dying in Gaza. I know that women are dying in Gaza. I know that. I know that. But this is the cost of war. This is what happens when you slap,
The cost
when you
of war.
poke
The
the
cost
bear.
of war.
They poke the bear. They poked the bear. The
12,000 kids poked the bear?
No, not the
The
12,000
12,000 kids that were killed,
You're
average age is 5 years old. They poked the bear?
Not the kids.
But you said, oh, the numbers are
not
unverifiable.
the kids. Not the kids.
But you're saying the numbers are unverifiable.
They are unverifiable. How can you count 31,000 people under the rubbles? How can you count that?
Okay, so that's what deniers say.
I'm not
That's
denying
what
anything.
deniers say. That is what Holocaust deniers say. They say 6 million is unverifiable.
You're using unverifiable numbers to evoke
that is
emotions
what-
emotions in your
they
viewers
say-
to
no.
say children and women. But this is
No,
the cost
no,
of
no,
war.
but that's like you though. Holocaust deniers, they say 6 million is unverifiable. They say, oh, it's 6,000. Like that's you. You should be ashamed.
6 millions
Never
are unverifiable,
again, right?
6
For
millions
anybody.
are 6 millions are unverifiable. 6 millions?
No, what are you talking about? I'm saying that's what Holocaust deniers say.
But-
of course I know the Holocaust happened. I'm not denying 6 million
you guys-
Jews
you guys-
were in the Holocaust and that's what happened to them. I'm not denying that. What's your problem?
I'm not denying that children and women are dying in Gaza as well. What's your point as well? I'm not denying that. You're
You're-
trying to
but
make it seem
you're-
like I'm denying it, but I'm not denying it.
You are denying 12,000 children were killed.
I'm not denying that
You're denying the number. Are
I-
you denying the
until
number?
this number is 100% confirmed, I am refusing to believe that 12,000 children are dying.
I mean, okay, that's denial.
It's not
that's
denial.
That's
It's
what
not denial.
Holocaust
I'm not-
deniers think. That's their logic.
Trying to spin it on me again, huh?
That's what. Yeah.
Okay, Hamza.
I will.
Hamza,
I will.
were
I mean,
children.
if you keep saying bullshit, I will.
Hamza, were women raped on October 7th?
I don't know.
Were women
How am I
raped on
supposed
October
to know?
7th by Palestinians? Yes or no?
How am I supposed to know? There's
Are
no
you
substantial evidence
denying
of
the
that.
rape of women? How dare
There's
you?
no substantial
Are
evidence.
you denying-
There's no substantial evidence.
Are you denying the cutting off of penises of genitals of men because they were cut off as
Yes.
well? Are you
Yes, I
How
am
dare you
denying,
denying
because I
sexual
haven't seen
abuse?
evidence.
How dare you denying
I'm
sexual
de-
abuse?
Yeah, I'm denying.
How
Yeah,
dare
I'm
you? How
denying
dare
that.
you denying that? How dare you? How dare you,
I mean,
Hamza?
can you show me evidence? Can you show me evidence?
Did you see what the UN said? We will never know the amount of
I
damage, the
haven't
amount of
seen-
sexual damage that was caused on the Israelis by the Palestinians, by Hamas.
I haven't seen any evidence.
Would you want me to read you an
There's
article?
an article is going to be evidence.
Oh,
there's
so
no
it's not.
substantial evidence.
What do you think they're gonna
I
keep?
haven't
do you,
seen
do
any
you think they're
evidence.
gonna? Do you think that they're
A
gonna keep the people?
debunked article.
Do you think they're
a
gonna?
debunked article?
What a debunked article? The UN said that. Do you support the UN?
Okay, once again, it's a debunked article. I mean,
I'm
the
just-
major New York Times article was debunked. I think that's what you're referring to.
It's not. I'm not
The
talking about.
major New York
I'm
Times
talking about
article.
what the UN said about
Well,
it.
I didn't read what the UN said about.
Would
Send
you
it
like me to read it to you?
No, send it to me.
How do you want? How do you?
you're
Want,
gonna
you have
skip
you have
over
too many
part.
followers for me to send you anything to actually accept it.
Type it in the chat. We're talking right now. Type it in the chat.
In what chat? On TikTok?
On Omegle, we're talking right now. The Omegle chat. Jesus, man. Send it.
I'm sending it. Hold on, let me
Are
find
you
it.
watching my stream?
No, I'm not. Not watching your
Well,
stream.
no. I mean, were you watching my stream before you found me?
That's how I find you. It's the easiest way. When you skip, I skip the same time and I find you.
I see. Well, thanks for the support. Appreciate it.
Of course. UN, sexual abuse, Israel.
Listen, I mean, oh man, I gotta run, bro. I gotta run.
You gotta run?
6:30 a.m., dude. Say what you want to say. Say what you want to say,
I'm
and
just,
then I
I'm
gotta
just,
go.
I'm just saying. Bottom line, you're denying the things that happened in Israel, and you're trying to
Yalla,
make.
close. Hold on. I'm not. But let's do
You did.
let's do closing remarks. Ready? Cue the closing remarks. Yalla, boom.
Go ahead. You go first.
No, go ahead.
No. I'm giving you the freedom.
Well, I'm not denying what happened on October 7th. I'm not. I mean, people died. They were killed even.
It's not the
They
only
were
thing.
killed.
It's how
What?
they were killed. It's how they were treated. That's what I'm talking about.
They were killed. I'm not denying people were killed on October.
When you're
7th.
when you're
I mean,
saying when you're,
how they were killed and treated. I've seen conflicting reports.
I've seen
Well,
reports.
a lot of misinformation, by the way. I mean, do you believe 40 babies were beheaded?
Do I believe this was never the report? It says 40
I mean, but
babies
that-
died, some were beheaded. That's what she said. And then people twisted it and changed it. That's what the reporter said. Even
so
one beheaded baby is
Okay,
atrocious.
cool. So do you believe that?
The 4B babies were beheaded? No, I don't believe that 4B babies were beheaded. I believe that some babies were beheaded, just like other people were beheaded.
Well, no. The reporter said 40 beheaded babies. I'm pretty sure.
Do you want me to find the report?
Um,
Listen, I know what I saw.
the report doesn't even mention beheading in general. I don't recall. Like, what I mean is like actual reports, but I'm talking about okay. Anyways, whatever. Whatever. I don't care. How they were killed and treated. Once again, I've seen conflicting reports, but sure. What do you want to talk about? What? Tell me.
I'm saying
There is misinformation out there. But go ahead.
Of course, there's misinformation. Of course, there's misinformation.
Sure.
And that's what's ruining the whole understanding of the truth. That's what's ruining, your viewers' understanding, your understanding, my understanding, because I don't actually know what's going on in Gaza, and you don't actually know what's going on in Israel. I think we will never know what happened. I think we will never know about the atrocities that happened. And I want to wish.
No, we will. No, we will.
I mean, I hope we will, because they burned the bodies of
eventually.
they burned the bodies of the
we
rape
will.
victims that they had. So I don't think we will ever know.
Okay. So eventually in Gaza we will know, right? They will show the 12,000 children dead, and you will realize how evil of a person you are.
After time, that makes sense to gather the numbers, but after 5 days to make a claim that 17,000 and 15,000, and they came up with such bold claims after the
5 days.
after the
I
hospital.
don't know what you're talking
after
about.
the hospital
We're
was
saying that 6 months later. So I mean, they will show 12,000 children dead, and you will realize once again how evil of a person you are for denying us and denying them.
I'm not
and
denying you
our,
guys. I'm
our
denying your
suffering.
numbers. I'm not denying you guys. I'm denying your
But
numbers.
you
I'm not
are.
denying you guys.
That you are denying our suffering.
I'm not denying your
By
suffering.
denying the 12,000
And
children.
the only reason you guys are suffering is
like
because of
we're
the
not
leadership.
allowed to suffer. I mean, you say two things. A, right? Number is fake. B, it's war.
Numbers.
We're not allowed to suffer.
Number is unverified. It means nothing about your suffering. And
Oh my
you
God.
guys are suffering.
I mean, but it does. It does. It
you
means
guys-
a lot.
You guys
We're
are.
going in circles. Wrap it up.
I hope for peace, and I hope Hamas is eliminated. I hope the hostages are back, and I hope peace is brought back to the south. That's all I'm hoping for.
Eliminated? What do you mean by
Eliminated.
eliminated?
I want Hamas gone. I don't want them to be on this earth. I want Hamas to be gone.
Like dead?
Of course. I don't want these people with this. I want Hamas with. I don't want.
Like every Hamas dead. Like so.
I
Even
want
today,
every-
at this point, you want every Hamas dead.
I want every Hamas.
After everything, you want Hamas dead.
I want every Hamas member to not live here, to be in Jahannam. That's what I want them to do. I want them to be in Jahannam. I don't want them to get their virgins even. They don't deserve it.
So I can't. So I can't say the same about the IDF. I can't say I want
The
every
IDF are not
IDF
committing
member dead.
terroristic attacks. It's fine. You don't have to say
Well,
anything.
Well, no, they are. Well, they
Really?
are. But I.
From
Of
all the
course they
conversations
are.
you've had with soldiers,
Well,
I've-
a lot worse than whatever you may think Hamas, whatever you look at them as. But collective punishment, displacement, 30,000 dead, 70% of which are women and children, 12,000 children.
6 months,
They are
70,000.
doing much worse.
6 months, 70,000 tons of explosives, and only 30,000 when 15,000 are Hamas. When
2.1 million displaced.
When
in Rafah?
15,000 are
And,
Hamas.
Rafah?
One in every 2 people is a terrorist. Are you aware of this crazy ratio? Are you aware how precise we are?
What are you talking about?
15,000 are Hamas members. 15,000 that were unalived until now.
What are you talking
From the
about?
7th of October are Hamas
So
members.
so I mean that's what the IDF claims, right?
Yes.
But I don't believe them. And why should I?
And I don't believe Hamas.
70% civilian infrastructure
I don't believe people that rape.
Gaza is uninhabitable, right? I mean, what you're saying just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I think you're just in denial.
I'm not in denial. I'm
I
saying
mean, Hamas. I mean, you say you okay. Well, I also deny Hamas, but Hamas isn't saying this many soldiers versus this many civilians. The ministry just gives the raw number.
Hamas is giving you the wrong number. They're saying that only 100 Hamas terrorists
No,
have
no,
died
no,
so
no,
far.
no, no. Raw. Please listen.
I'm
Please.
listening.
Raw. I said raw. I'm not wrong. I said raw. And historically, they've been accurate. I mean, Gaza and the death toll that comes out of Gaza historically, they've been accurate. In every quote unquote war or conflict in Gaza, they've been accurate. But I don't have enough time to continue this conversation. I think you have a lot of bookmarks to go through, and I hope you do learn more about 1948 and more about the history of the Palestinian people. And I pray that you realize that the Palestinian people have history on their side, right? So from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. We have a history. We have a society. We were there.
You don't have history.
consistently
You don't have history.
for centuries.
You don't have
We do.
history. No, you don't.
We have more of a claim than you do.
Okay. Thank you for denying
Cool.
the existence of the Jewish people 3,000 years ago. I appreciate it.
When did I say that?
You just did. You said you have more rights than us.
When?
You have more claim
But
than
we
us.
do.
Okay.
But we do.
Okay, you don't.
Am I saying that you don't have a claim?
You're saying you have more of a claim than we do because you're going
Sure.
100 years
So
back.
that means
200
so that
years
means you
back.
have a claim.
I mean,
So that means you have a claim. But I also but since we've been living there consistently, we have more of a claim.
Jews have been living there consistently as well.
This is gonna scare you. This is gonna freak your ass out. I am the ancient Hebrews. I am the Canaanites.
Wow. That scares me. That shocked me. I'm so shocked.
I am Palestinian
No, you're not.
and free Palestine. Yeah.
From the river
I
to
am.
the
And
sea,
you should,
Petach Tikva is all you see. Let's just remember that, okay?
no, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, inshallah.
Free from
one day.
Hamas. Inshallah, from Hamas.
I mean, you're saying this as if I'm gonna skip you right away, but I mean, one state, by the way, one state.
Two states.
Free.
Two
you know.
states. One for the Jews,
Well, no-
one for the Palestinians,
Well, no.
the Arabs.
Well, one state. I mean, if Palestine is free, then no need for resistance. You know what I mean? So that's like my whole point. I mean, why does Hamas exist? Why does October 7th exist? Right? I mean, what would we need that for? What would we need resistance for when we're already liberated? I mean, it just makes no sense. So I think sleep on that for a little bit, and then maybe you might learn that the Palestinian people deserve their rights, their human rights, and their freedom, and
I think they do.
and maybe that
I
maybe
think
you'll
they
realize that
deserve-
we
I think-
exist and that we have a history and that we have more of a claim to the land than I think anyone, since we've lived there more consistently than I think anyone, centuries, and directly. I mean, most recently as well, we have a history. Free
Okay.
Palestine, from the river to the sea. Palestine.
Israel will be free. Thank you.
Palestine will be.
Israel will
free
be free.
Palestine.
Bye.